There's a story in the Old Testament about a strong man named Samson. Samson had one major weakness, and it was falling in love with the wrong girl. Again and again he does this in Scripture. But then he meets his match in a woman named Delilah. Delilah was secretly working for the Philistines, who were the Israelites' greatest enemy. And they would pay her silver in exchange for information about what made Samson so strong and what can make him weak. So she coaxed him into telling her that if he was bound with bowstrings that weren't dried out, he couldn't snap them and he would become weak. Well, he fell asleep one night and she bound him with bowstrings that weren't dried out. And then she said, "Samson, get up. The Philistines are upon you." And Samson jumped up, ripped off the bowstrings that were holding him down, and went off after the Philistines. Well, she was upset that Samson had lied to her and said, "Samson, you don't really care for me. Please tell me what makes you so strong and how can you be bound?" And he said, "Well, if you were to tie me up with brand new ropes that had never been used on anything else, I won't be able to break them." Once again, he falls asleep. Delilah wraps him in new rope, and then yells, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." Samson jumps up, breaks off the rope, and goes after the Philistines once again. A third time, Delilah was very upset. "Samson, you've lied to me again and again. Tell me what makes you so strong, and how can you be defeated?" And Samson told her that if you were to take my hair and weave it with a loom into a web tight against my hair, I won't be able to stand against it, and I will be weak. Well, he falls asleep, and once again she goes and weaves his hair into a loom and puts it into a tight webbing, and then yells, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." And once again he jumps up, rips away from the loom and the weave and the spider web that his hair has been made into, and goes after the Philistines. Well, Delilah was very upset at Samson for lying to her again and again and again. And so she says one last time, "Tell me what your secret is." And he says, "Fine, I'll tell you because you keep pestering me. And I don't want to be pestered anymore. So a razor has never come near my head. If you were to shave off my hair, I would become weak." And what happens? He falls asleep. She shaves off his head and then binds him up, calls to the Philistines. Samson is weak, bound up without any hair, and the Philistines take him off for judgment and for their own sport. Well, yeah, Samson's main problem was that he fell into this bad relationship again and again and again with Delilah, making mistake after mistake with her. Even though he knows who she is and he knows what she's going to do, yet he falls for it each time. It's interesting that we think that it's Samson's hair that is the thing that makes him strong. The fact that he had never had his hair cut. But that's not where his strength truly came from. His strength truly came from the Lord. So later on in the story, Samson is taken away to where the kings of the Philistine people are all meeting in a temple, and he's brought out so that they can make fun of him. And when they're done, they put him up against the wall, and he asks one of the attendants to lean him up against one of the columns, one of the pillars that hold the roof up. And so they do, and he prays one last time, "Lord, make me strong so that I can have revenge on your enemies." And the Lord makes him strong enough that he pushes over the pillars, collapsing the roof and defeating Israel's enemies. See, Samson's strength was not about his hair. Samson's strength was in his devotion and his love of God. This is an important lesson for us today as we have our long hair and we think that we're caught in certain cycles that aren't healthy for us as we're still under these stay-at-home orders. Well, we need to remember that our strength doesn't come from having our hair cut or taking our showers or going out to eat. Our strength only comes from the Lord. And really, the Lord is the only thing that we have to look forward to and doing the Lord's work in the world. We can do that here now in our places of home where we live, but it's also something that we can look forward to doing out in the world. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this story, and God bless you, and I'll see you again next week.